We are privileged to present to you the solo exhibition Nkomoni now by local ceramic artist Sonwabiso Ngcai. Sonwabiso is not your traditional ceramist, and it is evident in his body of work that he pushes the boundary of his medium through the creation of meaning. He makes use of a variety of processes to transport the viewer from the gallery space into the rural landscape of Ngqeleni near Mthatha, where he grew up. A warm welcome to our opening speaker this evening. I'm sure everyone knows Prof. Ngqeleni.
I think as we come out of what has been a perilous time in the recent pandemic, and to be honest, I don't think we've really come through that, and we'll probably be feeling the after effects of this pandemic for a few years to come. It gives me great pleasure to be here today. Much like other creative industries, the art world has experienced a great upheaval in the making and participation of events such as this one. So I thank you, of the gallery and of the artists around us, for all the support you've afforded this area and our local artists and galleries. Nkomoni now marks Sonwabiso's first exhibition in Port Elizabeth, Gqeberha, and I'm honored to have been asked to speak here tonight on his behalf. We go back some ways, and that's where I'll leave it. In his artist statement, the artist cites the idea of memory and returning to places that are familiar to him. He says returning to these landscapes as an older person evokes memories of childhood, sorting through rocks and stones for the foundation of a new home, passing the same rocks every day on the way to school, and the dipping of cattle in the place where I sourced raw clay. I am struck by how, for Ngcai, the activation of these memories is in the raw materials, in the physical space of his childhood. This speaks to a deep connection to where he came from and an honest reminder that we are bound to the places and spaces we first called home. What I find fascinating about his work is that the artist has chosen to use memory and a return to home as his motivation and inspiration, but has ended up with a material translation of the experiences of these events. Clay is basically dirt and water, and we move and shape it through various processes to make it into what we want. Those elements form paths and bindings that reinforce the shape of the piece and hold it in place. So like the rain forms rivers, we form mugs and bowls. When the rains change and the river changes course, it leaves a remnant of the old path, and the flow of the river is never quite the same again. So too does clay remember, if you change its shape too much, that it once was different. And this is what I love about this work. Ngcai has not entered into battle with the medium of clay, trying to cajole it, trying to bend it to his will, but rather he has come to use the clay to bear witness to his being. Ngcai makes use of the qualities of clay in ways that access his memories in material form and ask us to come along on a journey of nostalgia and remembering. The three major installations in this gallery today speak of instances or locums in this journey. We are presented with the literal representation of earth transformed, with the outside being brought inside. Despite what appears to be an effortless installation of clay in a gallery, don't let this piece fool you. As we know, to make something appear simple takes years and years of mastery. And Iyozala is a technical masterpiece in concept and execution. The Louis Luqingo is a poignant meditation on memory as well, but also on the nature of hope. Expressing his interest in multimodality or mixed media, Ngcai offers up wall pieces which depict structures which played a part in shaping his vision of the future. Like faded photographs, screen-printed images are embedded into clay tablets, the earth now playing an archival role in holding and freezing the images in time. Ngcai's final installation, Iyozala, speaks directly to the claiming of an object, a keepsake or reminder of things that have gone before. But instead of seashells from a visit to the sea or an heirloom inherited after a loved one's passing, Ngcai has created replicas of the stones he would find on that hillside in Ngqeleni. The surfaces are crisscrossed with the ley lines of experiences which shaped him. What we are in effect witnessing in this exhibition is not a maudlin meditation on what has gone before, but an affirmation of the fact that the past will always remain in the past, and we can now look forward and make anew in the present. Sonwabiso, congratulations, my brother, and well done on an amazing show. It gives me great pleasure to declare the exhibition open.
Home is in a small town called Ngqeleni, just outside Mthatha. It's a rural town. So when I go home, we're quite closer to the river. We're almost in the river valley at home. So there are these rocks surrounding the home. It's not only that place, but also the dip where we used to go. So every time I go home, I kind of get fascinated by the simplicity of these rocks and how they kind of give abstract shapes of sculptures. So they kind of gave birth to this idea of having these rocks as sculptures. And I thought then I would use, or rather insert symbolism, or rather a metaphor, using the seam line during the process of making these rocks as a metaphor to navigate these spaces. So the rocks using those seam lines are actually navigating the space where I'm from. This piece is called Plot. If you come closer to the piece, you will notice that there is a map on the rock which suggests where, very subtle, where I've been, which places I've been kind of visiting while I was home. So it kind of rejuvenated the idea of place as well as mapping around the area. So hence the use of a screen printed image on the rock. This is the place called the dip. So the type of earth that was in this particular space was more like a dark clay. This is more like a purple clay, but it's more like a dark clay. So you'd feel the clay properties of the clay when you touch the soil. So it is a place where we would take the cows, but also go mine some clay in the same space. So this installation called Udaka refers to clay as mud as well. So the visual representation here talks to how these cows as well as humans interact in the same space.